So in today's video, I want to talk about beginner drones, and we have the DJI Neo, we have the Mini 4 Pro, the Mini 3 Pro, and the Mini 4K here, which all are excellent beginner drones. But there is something that you need to consider when you are buying your first drone. And even though all of these drones can be categorized as a beginner drone, even the Air 3S here, because it has all the automated features which will help you with flying your drone and make drone flying a lot easier. The only differences here between some of these drones is that some requires you to take a license, some requires you to just take an online exam, and some requires a registration because they have a camera. So it's really important to check the regulations in the country you're living in and the country you might be traveling to, and what is required for you as a drone pilot to visit that country or to fly your drone in your home country. So when it comes to deciding between which drone to get and which drone is the absolute best beginner drone for you, there is a few elements you need to look at. The first one is the price. Which of these drones will give you the best bang for the buck and the most value in terms of progression and the user experience you have when you fly that drone? The second one is size. Even though all of these drones sits in somewhat the same form factor, you need to add a controller and perhaps some extra batteries, maybe some accessories like ND filters as well. And there is a difference in weight here as well, where the DJI Neo is the only one weighing 135 grams, whilst these other three here is weighing 249, 248-ish grams. And the third one is your purpose of getting a drone. Like, what will you use it for? Is it just for fun? Is it for your business? Or is it something you mainly want to use to capture aerial shots of the places you travel to? And the last one is, where will you be showing these videos? Is it just for personal use, or is it for social media? Is vertical something you need, or is horizontal videos good enough? Or maybe you need both of these. So let's start with the most expensive out of these four drones, which is the Mini 4 Pro. The Mini 4 Pro is currently the best 250-gram drone on the market and has everything from 360-degree obstacle avoidance sensors to waypoints and cruise control, as well as 48-megapixel photos, including panorama, automated features like active track, quick shots and master shots, as well as D-Log M 10-bit for color grading. Basically every single feature that you find in these bigger drones like the Air 3S. So to me, the Mini 4 Pro has been the absolute best travel drone, and thanks to its 1/1.3-inch CMOS sensor, I've been able to capture the most beautiful scenery of our trips. And this is the drone that has the least amount of cons based on my experience. And the only con I can think of is related to the propeller guard, which came with the Mini 4 Pro, but the solution for that is to just not use it and the con is gone. And as of battery life, I've been getting around 25 to 26 minutes on average when flying the Mini 4 Pro, and about 28 to 29 when flying at close proximity and in places like a forest, for example. So about 25 to 28 minutes is what you can expect from this drone, but it also depends on how you fly, where you fly, and the conditions of where you're flying, and also if you're flying in sports mode, cine mode, or normal mode, because sports mode will drain your battery faster, but it will also get you to the place faster. Now, the Mini 4 Pro is also controlled by a remote controller, which is necessary to fly it. And for this, I've been using the DJI RC2 controller, which is hands down the best controller I've ever used. And the good thing about this is that this controller also works with other drones, like the Air 3S and the DJI Neo. So if you decide to upgrade or just add another drone to your arsenal later, you only have to grab the drone itself and perhaps some extra batteries, which is always nice. The next one up is the Mini 3 Pro, which basically turned this into a passion instead of a hobby for me personally. And I remember when I was sitting outside the store with Philip, just waiting for the doors to open so I could grab the one and only copy of the Mini 3 Pro that they had in store, for then a few hours later jump on a plane to Hawaii. Now, the Mini 3 Pro is basically the Mini 4 Pro's younger brother and has almost the same features, but lacks, of course, the omnidirectional obstacle avoidance sensors. So it has forward and backwards facing sensors, as well as downward sensing position sensors. Basically, flying sideways with this in the forest, for example, you would want to keep an eye out for branches and obstacles in general. We also have features like tracking, hyperlapse cruise control, quick shots, 48 megapixel photos, and panorama, just like we have with the Mini 4 Pro. But unlike the Mini 4 Pro, we don't have D-Log M or slow motion at 4K 100 FPS. And you're limited to the older RC1 controller, which runs with OcuSync 3.0, so if you're gonna upgrade your drone in the future, you might have to get a new controller. But when it comes to color grading, we do have the Cine on the Mini 3 Pro, which is also a flat color profile with more dynamic range than the normal color profile, so you will still be able to color grade your footage in your own way. However, both the Mini 4 Pro and the Mini 3 Pro can rotate the camera and the gimbal, so you will be able to capture true vertical videos without any cropping. So if you would mainly get a drone to capture videos for social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube Shorts, then either of these drones will be a good choice. Then we have the Mini 4K, which is just a renamed Mini 2 basically. This retails for $399 US and $449 US for the Fly More combo, which is a killer price if you ask me, because here you will get everything you need to get started as a new drone pilot, with resolutions up to 4K 30 FPS, automated quick shots, photos, and the basic settings needed to tweak your flying experience. So if you're all about having fun whilst practicing drone flying or becoming a better drone pilot, this is definitely a solid drone to start with, and it can also handle wind pretty good, which is a nice addition if you live in a windy place like I do. Now, as for image quality, even though this is a 4K drone, it has a smaller sensor than the Mini 3 Pro and the Mini 4 Pro. So the 4K 30 FPS footage coming from the Mini 4K, it won't look as good as it does with these other drones here, the Mini 3 Pro and the Mini 4 Pro, but this also comes down to the term you get what you pay for. But overall, the Mini 4K is a fantastic drone to start with if you just want something simple, easy to use, and a drone that shoots 4K videos. Now, the last one here is, I would say, my favorite drone so far. This is the DJI Neo. This is the ultimate pocket-sized selfie drone if you ask me. However, out of all these drones, this is the one with the worst image quality. It's not awful, it's not unusable, it's just, if you're going to compare the image quality to these drones, this is going to be the worst one. So if image quality is everything that you're looking for, then I would skip out on this one and go straight to the Mini 3 Pro or the Mini 4 Pro. But as a beginner drone, this might just be the perfect drone if you don't live in a windy place. So from all these drones, the DJI Neo is the only one weighing 135 grams, which is 115 grams less than these other guys here. So you might experience some turbulence, which might lead you to land the drone and maybe think twice about your next flight. However, this is also the most versatile drone because you can fly this with a controller, the RC2, the RCN3, the RCN2, and you can also fly this with your smartphone. You can fly this without a controller at all, and you can also fly FPV with this if you decide to go with the Goggles 3 or the Goggles N3, and you can choose between the FPV controller or the Motion Controller 3. So you have a lot of different options with the DJI Neo, which you don't have with these other three drones. So the good thing about this is that if you feel like you mastered normal flying with a normal controller or with the smartphone and you want to get into FPV, you can get the Goggles N3, which is the cheapest goggles that DJI offers at only $229 US, and you can also get the RC Motion 3 controller, and you can now fly FPV without having to buy an FPV drone like the Avata 1 or the Avata 2 or a custom FPV drone. That means you can test out FPV without having to actually buy an FPV drone, which is fantastic. And when you tested some FPV, maybe you find that really joyful as well, you can just get the Avata or the Avata 2 and then just keep this as your normal pocket-sized travel drone if you prefer to do that. So this is the cheapest way to get into FPV as well as normal or regular drone flying, if you ask me, because it has the option to fly in both ways. So for that reason, I think the DJI Neo is the absolute best beginner drone available right now, because it has so many different options and it's only priced at $199 US. So you basically only have to start with this one. There is no controller required in order to fly it. You can fly as a selfie drone by using the buttons on the drone itself, or you can fly it with your smartphone. But there is a few cons to this as well, which is one, battery life. We're going to come to that in a sec. But the main con here for me as a content creator, even though we have quick transfer, which allows me to quickly transfer the files from the DJI Neo over to my smartphone, there's only 22 gigabytes of internal storage and no room for SD cards. Even though this is not a huge problem for me, I do find it a little bit annoying, and it usually happens at the worst possible times, which ends up causing some delays. The other one is the battery life. The battery life is significantly lower than these other guys here, and I've been getting about 13 to 14 minutes of active flight time, but this also varies depending on how you fly, where you fly, and also how far you push it before you fly back and return to home. Whilst these other guys are sitting around 25-ish minutes with a max peak of 29 minutes on the Mini 4 Pro when it comes to active flight time based on my experience. But as a brand new drone pilot, you might be more interested in the actual flying part, which is why I think the DJI Neo might be the best option for the price, as you're not limited to just normal flying, but you can also advance into FPV later when you feel like it. Now, if you're just a casual flyer and you don't know how many times you'll be able to fly your drone throughout the year, the Mini 4K is also a great option. And it also has a physical gimbal like the Mini 4 Pro and the Mini 3 Pro compared to the electronic image stabilization on the DJI Neo. Plus, it also has more weight to it, which makes it more stable in windy conditions. Now, there's also a dedicated micro SD card slot on the Mini 4K, which allows you to capture more at a time without having to fly back to transfer the files. And if you're looking for a cheap drone that can also take decent photos, well, the Mini 4K can capture both a JPEG and a RAW as well as panorama. So deciding between all these drones here might not be as easy, but if I were to pick my first ever drone right now, it would probably sit between the Mini 3 Pro and the DJI Neo, because the Mini 3 Pro is more than good enough and I've been using this for a very, very long time. Plus, it has amazing image quality and all the features I basically need to capture engaging high quality travel videos from above. And the Neo is basically more fun to use, it's easier to travel with, it has multiple flying options, and it's a drone that can capture videos faster than any of the other DJI drones. And because it's so small, portable, and don't require a remote to capture videos, you will find yourself using this way more, because you only have to press a button and it will capture all types of videos, whether this is tracking, helix, circle, or direction track, just to mention a few. And because it connects and can be controlled with your smartphone, you can also use this handheld, which worked surprisingly well, to be honest, when I was doing this in the forest in Hawaii. So if you want to check that footage, make sure to check out the video down in the description. But if image quality is what you're looking for, the Mini 3 Pro is just as good as the Mini 4 Pro, but without features like waypoints, cruise control, 4K slow motion, and active track 360, just to mention a few. And of course, these features are really nice to have, but you don't need them to have a good time with your drone. But if you want all of that, the only option here right now is the Mini 4 Pro, and this is the drone that you should get. The best image quality out of all these, and the drone with the most features, and also the drone with the highest price. So I really hope that this guide could help you make the right decision based on your needs. But at the end, the DJI Neo is something I think everyone should have, regardless of how good these other drones are, because this is only $200, and for $200 you can have a lot of fun with this guy right here. So let me know which drone is your favorite drone down in the comments below, and on your way down there, make sure to hit that subscribe and like button, and also turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the next video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.